So, here we are, The Timeless Children, the final episode of Series 12 of Doctor Who. This one, it threw a few things, a couple of curveballs, and some of them I actually did like. There's some things that I felt really worked well. Others, it introduced something that I don't know if long-term Doctor Who fans are going to be okay with. But, here we go. Now, I can't talk about the story in any length without mentioning spoilers. My apologies if I haven't done those previous videos, but yeah. I feel it's worth mentioning at the start spoilers. So, of course, the Doctor and her friends are met at the portal by the Master, who says to the Doctor she needs to come through and see exactly what he's done and what exactly has happened. So, of course, the Master takes the Doctor back to Gallifrey. The first thing I want to talk about is Yaz and Graham, and they're trying to get off the cyber ships. The crew decide to go with a plan that Graham comes up with, in that they disguise themselves in cyber suits in order to escape the ship without being found and presumably killed, which does prove to be quite tense, as the lone Cyberman does appear to be able to sniff them and detect something's wrong. But the one thing that I thought they would do with this was the Yaz and Graham and the rest of them disguise themselves in cyber suits. Meanwhile, on the ground, Koshamus, Ethan, and Ryan are having to fend off the Cybermen and, in a sense, using bombs and weapons and the like. I feared that was this going to be that Yaz and Graham would disguise themselves in cyber suits and then Ryan would accidentally kill or injure one of them and then would have to live with the guilt of knowing that he killed his grandfather and a close friend. But they don't go that route. It's so that they put on the cyber suits, use them to distract the Cybermen, and then take them off. So, okay, they didn't go the route I thought they would, but you know what, that's fine. But then we come to the main meat of the episode. Or fish or veg of the episode, whatever you want to get. The Master takes the Doctor back to Gallifrey and reveals the myth of the Timeless Child. And exactly what it is. Supposedly, long ago, Gallifrey had been home to a native race called the Shobogans, and a Shobogan explorer named Tech Tune had ended up exploring the universe and come across seemingly an alone child. No idea who its parents were, nobody even around. So the traveller, Tech Tune, had adopted the child, taken it back to Gallifrey, and then one day the child was involved in an accident and fell off a cliff. To which Tech Tune was devastated, but then discovered that the child had the ability to regenerate. The first person on Gallifrey to ever possess the ability to regenerate. Tech Tune studied the child for years in order to find out how this was done, eventually discovered it and managed to graft it into her own DNA, and eventually she regenerated as well, and it eventually got passed on to the Time Lords, and they began the ultimate society that we would know the Time Lords as today, with the agreement that each Time Lord, if they were granted regenerations, would be granted 12, and 12 only. And the big reveal that the Master gives the Doctor is that she is actually the Timeless Child. The child that was adopted, supposedly the one where regeneration was discovered. And the reason why he had ended up destroying Gallifrey was because he realised that with the ability now to regenerate, he now had a part of the Doctor in him, and he didn't like that concept. So the Doctor is left with kind of a lot on her plate, in that she has to come to grips with this, and also it's revealed that she has actually had many more lives, many more regenerations than she originally thought, but they have been occasionally wiped from her mind. Which is also where Jo Martin's Doctor from Fugitive of the Judoon fits in. She is one of the Doctor's past regenerations that she doesn't know about. Now, the reason why I think that some Doctor Who fans may have a little trouble with this is because over the past 50 years, we've all come to accept that William Hartnell was the first Doctor. We thought to ourselves, yeah, here's the place where this all started. And now there's something about... Now it's that there was a lot more before him, and the Doctors regenerated many more times before we even got to know them, and I don't know whether Doctor Who fans will be able to accept that. But it's not only that. The Master not only destroyed Gallifrey for that reason, but he also now plans to create Cybermen using Time Lord bodies, which means essentially the Cybermen can get shot and killed and then regenerate back to how they were. He's creating an army of Time Lord Cybermen, and he of course plans them to use them once again to conquer the universe, even killing the lone Cyberman Ashad for the Cyberian. He attempts to control the Cybermen and ultimately take over the world, take over the universe. So it's down to our companions to finally stop them, which they do. Now, there is one other thing I do wish that I consider a complaint. I mean, and that's the combination of the Master and the Cybermen. Now, I said back with Spyfall that I was glad it was revealed that the Kashavin weren't the Cybermen, because we knew the Cybermen were coming back, and we just had the reveal of the Master. So, but then with this finale, we do once again get the combination of the Master and the Cybermen. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad combination. I mean, both of them are essentially driven by feel an act of survival. But here's the thing. With fitting the Master and the Cybermen together, especially with the finale, we've had that several times over the last few years. I mean, the 2014 Series 8 finale, Dark Water and Death in Heaven, Missy is using undead Cybermen to attempt to once again take over the world. The 2017 Series 10 finale, World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls, Missy, the Master and the Cybermen. And now we've once again got Sacha Dhawan's Master and the Cybermen. Once again, I'm not saying it's a bad combination. They do kind of fit together, but I'd rather, if they are going to do the Master and the Cybermen again in a few years, in a future series, I'd rather they do a couple of stories with the Master and a couple of stories with the Cybermen before they decide to piece them together again, because 3 Master Cybermen stories in the last few series is maybe getting a little repetitive. But then, once again, there's a moment at the end which I feel mirrors kind of past Doctor Who very well, and that's when the Doctor is confronting the Master and the Cybermen and is prepared to use a bomb, which I think kind of harks back to Christopher Eccleston's last episode when he was facing down the Daleks, as the Master is urging her, go on, do it, be the killer, and she's just like, no, she never could be. And I think that echoes the Doctor so very well. I mean, she's had a lot brought down upon her, that she is the timeless child, she is the reason Gallifrey society exists this way. She's got the chance to destroy the Master and the Cybermen once and for all, but yet she chooses not to. She chooses life. And then, ultimately, with Koshamas coming in to save the day, I do think that's nice, and the Doctor sending her companions back to Earth. Now, with the Doctor sending her companions back to Earth, this does lead into a question. Will the companions return? Will Graham, Ryan and Yaz show up again? Because, unlike previous companion exits, this one is left kind of open-ended. I mean, they're not dead, they're not trapped in a parallel universe, they've not forgotten all about the Doctor, they're not lost in time, they are just back in modern-day England, 21st century England. So, and it has revealed that Doctor Who does have an upcoming special, but then there's a thought of, is this just going to be where we leave the companions, or are they going to come back? It's a little interesting to think about. And of course, we end with a massive cliffhanger. The Doctor manages to escape Gallifrey and eventually parks the TARDIS that she borrowed on the planet next to her TARDIS. She goes back to her TARDIS and decides just to take a moment to herself before she goes and picks up the companions, where she is suddenly tracked down by the Judoon. who sentence her to life in prison, where she is transported to a prison planet. And that's where we leave. That's where everything fails. Now, Series 11 game ended with a nice word from the Doctor of, keep travelling, the universe will surprise you. And you know what? That was nice. But this time we got a massive cliffhanger that went on, and I'm interested to see how the Doctor's going to get out of this one. I mean, trapped on a prison planet by the Judoon, police officers in space. And honestly, that's rather tense, and I'm interested to see how they're going to figure that out. But they did do a small reveal at the end of the episode that Doctor Who will return with a special episode titled Revolution of the Daleks. Now, whether this comes as Christmas 2020, somehow earlier in 2020 celebrating something else, or whether they follow the original formula and do it New Year's Day 2021, we can't say yet. But you know what? To end on that, to end this episode, I feel it's got some stuff that Whovian fans will really like, some stuff they may have trouble accepting for a while, and a cliffhanger that honestly leaves a lot of unanswered questions, and I can't wait to see how they're going to answer this. But Doctor Who Series 12, we end with The Timeless Children, and I think it's a pretty enjoyable episode. Now, I will do videos here later on, kind of ranking the episodes of Series 12 from worst to best, and I may also do another video later on of ranking the series finales and fit this in somewhere, but for the time being, Series 12, we're done. Can't wait to see what they've got coming next. Until then, allons-y.